It's finally happening, folks. In the Pennsylvania Senate race, the people of the Keystone State are finally catching on that Dr. Oz would make a far better representative of the state than John Fetterman, who is the current lieutenant governor of the state, and his record in that job is abysmal. There is a new poll out that shows that Oz has not only caught up to Fetterman, but he has surpassed him. The same poll has Doug Mastriano catching up and in some instances beating Josh Shapiro, his Democrat opponent, who is the current Attorney General of Pennsylvania, who also has an abysmal record. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name's Rich, and in this episode of RPW Media, we're going to be discussing Dr. Oz's campaign taking off as he's pulling ahead of Democrat John Fetterman. With only 2 weeks to go until the 2022 midterm elections, a poll of 1,013 likely voters that was taken between October 9th and the 13th by the market research firm Wick indicated that Oz, the well-known heart surgeon and TV personality, is now ahead of Fetterman, the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania, by 4.5 points. Now, given that Oz has trailed Fetterman in the polls for pretty much the majority of this election cycle, this survey suggests that maybe Oz is finally breaking through a polling wall. Now, the New York Times did an analysis on the 2016 and 2020 election polling bias. And what they discovered is there was bias by all the major networks in favor of Democrats. Okay, so they went and applied the 2016 polling bias and the 2020 polling bias to the current cycle. And what they discovered was Democrats are not doing as well as the polls are suggesting. Okay, so I think at least in Pennsylvania, we're now seeing that come to fruition because the polls always tighten closer in Pennsylvania the closer you get to a race, because that's when the truth about the candidates finally comes out and when people have already had enough time to hear about both candidates. As far as Oz's polling is concerned, this is probably due to the fact also that Pennsylvanians are finally learning what a disaster John Fetterman would be as a U.S. Senator. And they've also learned what a disaster he has been as lieutenant governor. For example, being lieutenant governor has made John Fetterman the chairman of the parole board of Pennsylvania. And he has pushed the idea that he wants to release 1/3 of prisoners onto the people of Pennsylvania. He wants to get rid of 1/3 of the prison population and send them back out on the streets. And he says that it will have no effect whatsoever on the people of Pennsylvania. Bullstein. He also wanted to release second-degree murderers back into society, even though Pennsylvania law says that second-degree murderers get life in prison. Let's take a look at this poll for Dr. Oz. So now, this is the Wick poll. Now it says, in the November 2022 election for U.S. Senate were held today, for whom would you most likely cast your vote? Okay, so right now it says Dr. Oz, 49.1%, and John Fetterman, 44.6%. Now, folks, this is a hell of a thing, because Fetterman was up by double digits for a while there, and now he has fallen behind. I think it's because the truth has come out about him. Now, in that same poll, though, we also have Mastriano. The same thing is going on with Mastriano in polling, whereas, except that he's still behind, but he was behind by double digits, okay? But they asked the same question for Mastriano and Josh Shapiro. And it has Mastriano at 46.4 and Shapiro's in 48.5. That's within the margin of error. Now, the thing is, Josh Shapiro is also a disgrace. He was a disgrace as the Attorney General for Pennsylvania, because all you need to do is look at the rising crime throughout Pennsylvania during his term. It's like he's done nothing to stop it. All right? Shapiro is a partisan Democrat hack, and he runs the Attorney General's office like a revolving door for Democrats with rules of Republicans need not apply. Now, Shapiro did absolutely nothing for election integrity for the state. And he even forgot about former Secretary of State Kathy Boockvar, who was shot down by the courts because she broke the law during an election where she changed election law and she didn't have the authority to do so. Shapiro didn't even look into it. Now, Shapiro, he never even looked into it because she has a D next to her name. This is what you get with the current crop of Democrats. They turn their back on their job and their responsibilities if it's someone within their party. Now, Oz actually has a conservative platform, and he's giving out a conservative message that he will work towards if he gets elected to the Senate. As well as John Fetterman, he is dealing with some serious health issues after he had a stroke back in May. Now, I wish him well, and I don't want to trash the guy because he had it, but we're all adults here, and we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Or would it be the donkey in the room? Yeah. So it was discovered recently during an interview with Fetterman that he had to have a teleprompter so that he could read the questions that the interviewer was speaking to him. And it's because he doesn't, because of the stroke, he doesn't have the mental capacity to understand when people are speaking to him. So but he can read it. So he had a teleprompter go on and type up what she was saying to him. Now, Fetterman has also had some Joe Biden moments when he was out on the campaign trail giving stump speeches. There were a lot of moments when he got stuck in something that he was trying to say. There were times when he said things that just made absolutely no sense. And there's other times where he had like 5 seconds of dead air.
Send me to Washington, D.C. to take on, to make sure I push back against work to work. And you can count on us to eliminate the filibuster if you come out and step with us. We will be able to stand with you in D.C. I gave away the lieutenant governor in Pennsylvania, the only lieutenant governor in the history to do that. And let's get some stuff done for America. Who would ever think that I would be the normal one in the race here, you know, with that?
I mean, you can't have that and expect to run for the Senate. All right. Now, given the fact that Fetterman hasn't had a real job in his entire adult life, and until he was about 50 years old, his parents supported him. Okay. That was his entire adult life. All right. So the fact of the matter is that John Fetterman is not well. He has really radical left-wing woke ideas. He would be a rubber stamp for a Democrat-controlled Senate. Okay. Anything that Chuck Schumer wants to put through. I mean, you see him on the stump saying that the first thing they're going to do, and he would be proud if he would be that 51st vote to kill the filibuster. Now, the filibuster in the Senate is the one tool that a minority has in order to bring democracy to the Senate. In other words, the filibuster stops a majority, all right, from trampling over the minority. So it protects the minority from the majority by forcing both sides to actually have a conversation. Well, John Fetterman wants to get rid of that because he doesn't believe in democracy. I mean, if you openly claim you want to get rid of the filibuster bill, it's because you want to ram things through that 99% of the American people would never approve of. So I'm going to put the link to this story down in the description. And please visit RPW Media and read all of our stories. So that's it. Thanks a lot. Thanks for being with us. And we will see you in the next one.
Yeah.